Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the series finale of WandaVision. Is it really the series finale? Maybe. That's what they say it is. I know there have been some rumors of a season 2, and especially given the massive success of this first season, we'll see. Before I get into spoilers, I'll just say, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've seen the show, but I love the show. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. But from now on, there are going to be some spoilers. So, I'll talk about the finale and then I'll give my thoughts on the show overall. But in terms of the finale, I know that it was kind of divisive. A lot of people loved it and a lot of people felt let down. I did not feel let down. There were certain aspects of the finale that were perhaps underwhelming, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, as well as some of the dangers of hype and fan theories and some of those things, and what's the show's fault and what isn't the show's fault. The finale itself, I thought, was fantastic. I thought that especially jumping right to the end, I guess, but I have more to talk about. This is just where my mind went, is the goodbye to Vision and the kids was heartbreaking. I thought that was a beautiful scene. Every scene between Wanda and Vision throughout this whole show has just been written so well. The writing is fantastic. You, of course, have the what is grief if not love persevering. That wasn't from the finale, but it's just an example of some of the great writing. I also love, speaking of great dialogue, this scene between the two Visions fighting and then talking. That was such a great scene, and I'm curious to see what we see when we're going to see more of White Vision or just normal Vision now. So that was interesting. I know some people were mixed on that, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool. I thought the fight was cool because of, you had Vision fighting Vision and then two witches, so they were sort of, similar powers versus each other. But I liked how the Visions ended up just talking, and that was kind of funny, but also, really cool. But when they were using their powers, how they would, phase into each other to grab each other's leg. Super cool stuff. Great action in this last episode. And I didn't think it was over-reliant on action, or that it was just somehow, reverting back to, now it's a superhero show, because I think the show earned the right to do that at the end. That's not what the rest of the show was, but I think they got there in a natural way. And I thought Agnes was great, or Agatha was great in this episode, seeing more of their powers, and the runes come back, and look, all the fighting was great. And I thought that all of the emotional beats were also fantastic and genuinely impactful. I'll talk more about positives, but while I'm thinking of it, I do have a few negatives. And just because I have negatives does not mean I didn't love this show and love the finale. And I need to watch the finale again and all that stuff. But there are a few things I want to talk about. First of all, I think it could have benefited from being longer. I think the finale could have been about 20 minutes longer. And that's because we only get to see Darcy for about 2 seconds. And Jimmy doesn't have a lot to do in the episode. I just felt like the stuff with the folks from S.W.O.R.D., our little trio of Darcy, Jimmy, and Monica, they didn't have a ton to do in this episode. And I don't know what I would have had them do. It's just we spent so much time with them, and then it doesn't feel like it goes anywhere, except for the fact that we needed, Darcy's going to be in Thor 4 and Monica's going to be in Doctor Strange. Wait, what? No, she's going to be in Captain Marvel 2, and Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange 2. So I did feel like at the end of this episode, we did a lot of setting up for future movies. Now, I think the show earned that, because that's not what the whole show was. I just thought it was a little bit okay, it's setup time. which, you know, they restrained themselves for most of this show, but at the end there was a lot of setup, and that's okay because I'm excited for the next stuff. I just think I needed about 5% more answers, 5% more clarity on the mysteries of this show, on what the I don't know if I wanted Wanda to meet White Vision, or just 5% more wrapping up this story before we got into setting up the next ones. I do like that we get a little bit of a glimpse of hope to see more of the kids, the twins, because I didn't want them just to outright die. It sounds like my interpretation of that last post-credit scene is that she's going to be able to pull them from the multiverse somehow. And speaking of multiverse and maybe people being let down, we have Ralph Bohner. That's not Quicksilver. That's not Pietro Maximoff. That is Ralph Bohner. So, if that truly was not Quicksilver, they have no intention of ever using him again, and it truly was some guy named Ralph Bohner, that's disappointing. That feels like a little bit of a slap in the face. But maybe that is still Pietro from another universe, and he's just going by Ralph Bohner. That I'm okay with. And actually, not just okay with it, I'd be fantastic with that, because I wanted Evan Peters to be Quicksilver in the MCU. In fact, when he first made his appearance in the show, I went and watched every X-Men movie for the first time. And so if I did that for nothing, that's a little bit disappointing, even though I liked most of the X-Men movies, so it wasn't that bad. But I do want to see more of him as Quicksilver. And if we don't get that because it was just a Ralph Bohner joke, that is disappointing. And that's one of the things where, and now we can get into this, that there's some things that are the show's fault and some things that are not the show's fault in terms of expectations. If you got Evan Peters, a fan favorite actor, to play a fan favorite character, to play Ralph Bohner, and he's not Quicksilver, that's disappointing, and it's not the fans' fault. But if you didn't like the episode because Mephisto wasn't in it, that's not the show's fault. I was never on the Mephisto hype train. I never bought into the idea that they were somehow setting up Mephisto. That was not something on my radar. That was not something I thought was going to happen. And so I wasn't disappointed when it didn't happen. I think what got to a lot of people was this thing about an extra cameo. There were headlines going around a few weeks ago that said Elizabeth Olsen says there's a Luke Skywalker level cameo in WandaVision. The thing is, she didn't actually really say that. I read the interview that she gave where that came up, that spawned all of those headlines. And the interviewer asked her, is there a cameo similar to Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian? Is there a reveal you're excited for? And she said, yes, I'm very excited. And so I feel like it's disingenuous to say, she did say yes, but it's not like she went into the interview and was like, there's a Luke Skywalker level cameo. She just said there was one. And that could have been Evan Peters, although I'm pretty sure she said it wasn't. I know Paul Bettany was referring to himself when he said there was some actor he was excited to work with. And look, I think it goes two ways, because the actors, I think they were just having fun. There's no malintent there. But yeah, did I sit down thinking we were going to see Doctor Strange or Reed Richards in this final episode? Yeah, I kind of did. And that, I don't think that's entirely my fault. I think that's, the director gave interviews where he said that there was more to this aerospace engineer thing. The cast gave interviews saying that there was some big cameo, even though some of that was blown out of proportion by headlines. And so if you sat down and expected a cameo, I don't think that's entirely your fault. But if you sat down and expected Mephisto, that's not on the show. They never said that was happening. So in terms of if you were disappointed by this finale, which I will reiterate, I was not disappointed. I thought the finale was fantastic. I thought it was emotionally satisfying. I thought it wrapped up the arcs of the show very well. And I thought that the epic battle was cool. I liked the finale a lot. My only real critique is that I wish it were longer, and that's not just because I wanted more WandaVision, it's because I think you could have given more time to aspects of the story that didn't get enough time to wrap it up. And that feeds into my only other criticism of the show, which is sort of how they budgeted time. I love the first 2 episodes of this show, by the way. I know a lot of people don't. I loved every episode of this show. It just got better and better, especially towards the middle. There was like a real sweet spot where you were really hitting the balance between the sitcom stuff and the MCU stuff. But I think that the first couple episodes, if they were to keep the show at 9 episodes, each one was 30 minutes to 45 minutes long, condense the first couple episodes a little bit to spend a little more time at the end. Because I think that, if anything, if there's a criticism here, it's that the ending was a little rushed. Specifically surrounding Wanda, realizing the horror she has put this town through. And then Monica's like, they'll never know what you gave up for them. It's like, what did they give up for you? Months of their lives, their children were locked up, and nightmares, and so that you could have your little fantasy. Yeah, they gave up a lot for you. You did this to them. You freed them from that, and you gave that up for them. That was like, I don't know. Not that I think the show should have ended with her going to jail or something, but man, it just felt sort of like you did some terrible stuff, and you're just gonna walk off. And that, it's not that I even think the ending should have been different. I just think it should have been a little bit longer, and you could have gotten to the same place in a way that felt more natural. And that's not a huge thing. Listen, the fact that I am criticizing aspects of the show does not mean I did not like the show, because I loved the show. I think it's a fantastic launching off point for the rest of the MCU on Disney+. I had such a great time watching the new episode every week. I love this show a lot. So I don't want you to get the wrong idea. I just wanted to contribute something that hopefully was constructive criticism in terms of the structuring of the story and the way that the ending was paced and the way that we reached certain places that felt rushed, that maybe some ideas for how that could have been less rushed. And that's in my opinion. I hope I didn't come off as like, I wish that Reed Richards and Doctor Strange were in it. Because do I wish they were in it? Maybe. But that's not the show's fault. It really isn't. I think that part of it's the fans, part of it's the actors, part of it's the director who sort of, I don't know, made people's idea of what was going to happen a little off base. But that's not the show's fault. And there's plenty more MCU to come. In less than 2 weeks, we're getting Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm excited for that show. Maybe a little bit less excited for that than I was for WandaVision, just because I feel more like we know what to expect from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, whereas WandaVision was a total question mark. But I'm still pumped for it. I'm excited for everything that's still coming from the MCU. I know friends who said they were done with the MCU after Endgame. I was never one of those people. I think that the future of the MCU is bright. But yeah, I loved the finale. Let me just say that. I loved the finale. And I just had to, and I'm sure I've reiterated myself plenty, that I loved the finale, but I also gave some ideas for how I would have made it a little bit different just by budgeting time differently. That's all. Also, just super last thing, I really want a Jimmy Woo show, first of all, but also the mid-credit scene with Monica, where she sees a scroll, and the scroll is like, Nick Fury, I think it's Nick Fury, I don't know who else it would be, wants to see you in space. That's cool. I think that's directly feeding into Captain Marvel 2, and I'm totally cool with the fact that that happened there. I love Monica, and her alone is making me pumped for Captain Marvel 2. That among other things. New director, we're getting Miss Marvel in there. Brie Larson has had a little more time to hopefully, think about the character. Because I think she has potential. I don't want to go into a whole Captain Marvel 2 thing. I just had to mention that mid-credit scene. So, I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but those are my thoughts on the finale of WandaVision. I plan to rewatch the show at some point, and maybe when I do, I'll do another video and let you know how my thoughts have changed. But thank you for tuning into this video. I really appreciate it. I have more Marvel stuff on this channel, everything nerdy. There's DC stuff, Disney stuff. Go check it out and make sure to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you for checking out this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.